Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the 5th overall video. This is the 3rd video for notes. So if you haven't seen the first 2 videos for notes, you need to watch those 2 before you get here, okay? This is the 5th video overall though. So we are talking about symbiosis right now, okay? So we're talking about community interactions. How do things interact with each other? We went over predation, we went over competition. Now we're going to go over symbiosis, which is a little bit different. Okay, so symbiosis is going to be 2 organisms from different species. They're going to interact, okay? But at least one of them is going to benefit, okay? So we'll talk about, there's different specifics for each. There's 3 different types. There's mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Okay, so we're going to talk about each of those in the next slides. So this is going to be mutualism. Okay, so mutualism. What does mutualism mean? Mutualism means 2 organisms are going to interact. They're both going to benefit from it. Okay. Usually this is the big one where coevolution is going to occur. Okay. Classic example is the top up here. Okay. We have a hummingbird and a flower. Okay. So the relationship between them is pretty significant. Hummingbird goes in and it gets food, nectar, from the flower. Okay, the flower is its food source. It drinks the nectar that the flower creates. When it goes in to drink, it has a long bill that goes all the way back. This long bill that goes all the way back to one of these tubes. Okay, in the process of doing that, all over the face of that flower, it's going to pick up pollen from the flower. And what happens is it's going to drink from this flower, and then it's going to fly over to this flower, and it's going to drink from this flower, and it's going to deposit the pollen that was here onto this flower. And it's going to deposit the pollen that was here onto the next flower it goes to, and so on and so forth. It's going to spread its pollen. Okay? So this is a mutualistic relationship because this bird gets to eat and survive because of the flower. And the flowers get to continue making more flowers. They get to reproduce because the bird spreads its pollen. So it allows for it to continue surviving after that. Both organisms are going to benefit from that. Okay. And then over here, what we see is we have a moray eel and a cleaner shrimp. Okay, like from Nemo. So this is a mutualistic relationship because the moray eel has a bunch of dirt and grime and stuff all over him. And that can cause predators to come around. That can cause disease to grow and for him to get real sick. So the cleaner shrimp comes over and eats all of that stuff. So the cleaner shrimp gets to eat and survive off the moray eel, and the moray eel gets to survive and not die of disease. Okay, so the coevolution continues from there. Okay. So they get to exist together, and over time, their adaptations will change, and they will evolve together, okay? That's how the hummingbird and the flower got together, okay? Flowers did not look like this to begin with. Over time, we've got more and more types of flowers because they've evolved to form different niches, okay? And different birds or insects have filled the needs for pollinators in those specific niches. That's a whole nother topic we can go into later. But for right now, this is what it is. Okay, so coevolution has occurred because the tubes have gotten longer, meaning the bird beak had to get longer so that they can fill each other's needs more appropriately. Okay, so mutualism. Next one, commensalism. Commensalism is when 2 organisms are going to interact, or they're going to interact, and one is going to benefit, the other one is not going to get affected. Okay, when you type in symbiosis into Google, you will get 20 pictures of the clownfish and the anemone. Anemone, yes. Okay, you will see so many photos of them, and that is a perfect commensalism relationship. What it is the clownfish gets to live inside the anemone. The anemone creates electricity and keeps other things out, so the clownfish is protected. But the anemone doesn't really get anything from that relationship. It's not really affected by it. So if there were no clownfish, anemones would still be around. But if there were no anemones, Clownfish would be pretty hard to see, I think. You wouldn't have a whole lot of those, okay? Another relationship is egrets. That's the white bird you see here, and any sort of bovine or ungulate, they're going to be surrounding them. Water buffalo, bison, cows, elephants, even. The egrets are attracted to these animals because they're big and they're smelly and they attract a lot of bugs to them. So the egrets get to eat bugs that are attracted to the animals, and these animals are not really affected by it. Cows aren't really affected by flies that are around them. Anyone who has experience with cows knows that because they smell awful and there's always flies around them. But the egrets get to eat the bugs that are around them. So there might be a slight mutualism if the cow really cared about the bugs being there, but more often than not, it probably doesn't happen. So most of the time, there's not a whole lot of coevolution that happens with this. It's more just taking advantage of a situation. Okay. Next one is parasitism. Okay. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. You probably already know what parasites are. It's two organisms interacting. One benefits, one does not benefit. Okay. One gets harmed in the process. So you probably know a bunch of different parasites. I put up a mosquito here, but leeches, ticks, mites, they're all going to be different types of parasites. Tapeworms, another example. But there's parasites and parasitism happening everywhere. Any relationship where one person benefits, or not person, but one organism benefits and one does not, is going to be parasitic. For example, in plants, this is the dauber vine. Okay, the dauber vine. They are a parasite. They are a plant. Okay, they're not an animal. They're a parasite though, because they will latch on to a healthy plant here and they will leach out, they'll actually suck out nutrients from the plant stem so that they can grow. And they'll basically just suffocate and choke out plants. So that one, oh, go back. Parasitic relationship, even in plants, okay? So different ways that parasites can evolve. Really fascinating stuff. Sometimes what you see with this is you do see some coevolution as far as resistances being built on the host, which is the thing that the parasite is sucking from. So parasite comes and they leech and take things away from the host. Okay, so there might be some coevolution, like I said, between the host developing resistances or different ways to deal with these parasites, and then the parasite having to develop and evolve into being smarter, to know better, and to get around those resistances. Okay, so that's the end of this video. It's a little bit shorter, which is good because the other ones were a little longer. Okay, so if you have any questions, please email me. We got more notes coming, so please be ready for those. Okay, all right, see you in the next one. Bye bye.